this morning.
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the decks. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the deck.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely.
Can we not say that
dynamic because
That this country gets it right.
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this morning?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the decks. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the decks.
Welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. Time for us to look at issues from the global perspective and not also leaving out national and subnational levels. We look at big issues making the rounds, and we're starting from the Middle East, where there's a big trouble brewing already, as Hezbollah's immediate chief, Mohammed Al-Fif, has been killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit the headquarters of the Lebanese Ba'ath Party in central Beirut. On Sunday, the strike targeted the Ba'ath Party office in the densely populated Ras al-Naba neighborhood, resulting in the death of at least 4 people, according to Lebanon state-run national news agency. The country's health ministry confirmed that in addition to the fatalities, 14 others were injured in the attack, though the identity of the victims have not been disclosed. So we'll be looking at that, Kelly, how the Middle East is shaping up for what will be a very interesting time in the coming months. So we're taking you straight to other issues and making the rounds as we look at issues that concerns Nigeria, where former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo has advocated for the appointment of new and credible leaders for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, with a short tenure to prevent corruption and re-establish trust. Obasanjo made this call during a Chinua Achebe's leadership forum held at Yale University in the United States of America. And so we'll be looking at what he means by indicting Yakubu Mahmood, the INEC chairman, and other officials of the INEC leadership. From there, we're looking at other issues making the rounds. We're looking at nationhood, so even the clergymen are into talking about all the issues bedeviling Nigeria. The Emeritus Archbishop of Abuja, Cardinal John Onayekon, has called on President Bola Tinubu to stop rewarding party politicians with high political office. All right, we'll be looking at these and other very interesting talking points. And my guest in today's edition is no other person but the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360, the person of Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom to help us look at these issues from close perspective. Good evening, Abidoye. All right, we're hoping he will be joining us very soon, but while we wait for him to join us, just to let you know that we'll also be looking at issues concerning the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and also India. And aside that, we'll also be looking at the fact that the PDP came hard on President Tinubu for conferring a top honors on the Indian Prime Minister. Yes, the People's Democratic Party on Sunday faulted President Bola Tinubu for decorating the visiting Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Nigeria's second highest national honor of the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. Speaking with The Sun, the Deputy National Youth Leader of the PDP, Timothy Osadolo, described the president's action as misplaced priority, but the Deputy National Organizing Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Nze Chidi Duru, kicked, arguing that the president didn't do anything unprecedented. The PDP criticism comes a few hours after Tinubu conferred Modi with the highest honor in the land during the Nigerian-India bilateral. So, do you think it was the right move, and has Modi done enough for Nigeria and the African continent to deserve such an honor? All right, we'll be taking you to Brazil, where Mr. President is currently at as regards attending the 19 heads of state and government. All right, these are the issues we'll be looking at on today's edition. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be hitting a discuss button as we search the importance of each of these talking points, the pros and cons of each of these talking points is what we'll be doing after this quick break. Stay with us. Right, welcome back to the desk. It's now time for us to hit the discuss button. And I told you the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360, in the person of Mother Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, is joining us via Zoom to help us do analysis of all the talking points. Good evening, Mother Jeffrey Olu Abidoye. Thank you for joining us on the desk.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Good evening, Anthony. Good evening, viewer.
All right, let's begin from what's played out from the Middle East, which is very important to the world right now. We've been told that Hezbollah's media chief, Mohammed Afif, has been killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit the headquarters of the Lebanese Ba'ath Party in the center of Beirut on Sunday. The strike targeted the Ba'ath Party office in the densely populated Ras al-Naba neighborhood, resulting in the death of at least 4 people, according to the Lebanon state-run national news. Do you think this, you would have expected that Israel should have, piped low in terms of this continuous strike at Lebanon, and now we're having a top media officer killed in this latest attack?
Well, thank you so much. Going by the consistency of focus, consistency of purpose, consistency of strategy, particularly in the last 1 year or thereabout, it is obvious that Israel is determined and they are poised to ensure that the leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas, they take them out completely. Because looking at the pattern of killing, targeted killing, and then they are getting them down one after the other, it is obvious that they don't want to stop at anything until they crush the entire leadership of both Hamas and Hezbollah. So for me, it is often said that he who fights and run away live to fight another time. There's nothing wrong at this point in time for both the leadership of Hamas and Hezbollah to say, well, so far so good. We have recorded a lot of casualties on the leadership side, as well as on maybe their soldiers or armed men, so to say. There is nothing wrong for me for them to begin to say, well, let's begin to look at how we can pursue peace, and then let's put an end to all this killing. Because the other side to me is that they are targeting this leadership, their party offices, and those associates and their affiliates all over the places there. And in doing that, they say when the wicked are being punished, the saints too are taking part. When you look at the quantum of casualties among children, among innocent lives, among women, in so many of those places, even in camps, for me, it is avoidable. For me, it is it's needless. I think Israel should be looking at the possibility, because their core leadership now have been taken down from Iran across to Lebanon, and then Gaza stripped, and so many other things and all that. I think we've had enough. And I think that the G20 meeting that is going on presently, they should be looking at the possibility, particularly when you look at the recent change in the leadership in the last recent presidential election in America. The whole world should begin to talk in one direction now. Even the Middle East countries should begin to gather together. Nothing is too much, like I always say, to pursue peace, to toe the path of peace, and to ensure that we have peace, within the Middle East countries, particularly the crisis and the fight and the war, that has been raging in the last 1 year between Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah, as well as Iran. So I think we have come to a stage where, when you look at the quantum of avoidable killings, the carnage, particularly among innocent children and women, who today have become, hopeless and homeless and helpless, along those paths. I think it's high time. The world, particularly, there's a proverb in Yoruba that it is the owner of the load that will first carry it before people will probably join hands to help him or her to lift it and put it in his or her head. So I believe, because the raging storm, this killing is within that Middle East country. So all countries, including Iran, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf, countries, should begin to come together. They should not allow anything to deter them. Yes, I'm aware. It is on record that about 2-3 weeks ago, they met in Europe to discuss the possibility of ending this war. But it's not over until it's over. So the fact that they made an attempt and up to now, truths have not been found, peace and reconciliation have not been found, doesn't mean they should go to bed. They should be talking and be engaging. While they are talking to Israel, they should be appealing to the Hezbollah and then soldiers, as well as the Hamas, as well as the Iran, that seem to be the superpower behind them, fueling them, giving them weapons and so many other things and all that, because the carnage now is not being fed in Iran. We are the base, we are the powerhouse of the Hezbollah as well as the Hamas is from. So it is between the, the Lebanon, as well as the Hamas within the Gaza Strip and the rest of those places. So I believe that all hands at this point in time should be on deck to ensure that at least we stop this continuous carnage and killings that is still raging there.
Let's move on. Let's come down to Nigeria. Something very interesting happened where former President Olusegun Obasanjo has advocated for the appointment of a new and credible leaders for the Independent National Electoral Commission with short tenure to prevent corruption and re-establish trust. Do you agree with the XY president that that's the way to go? First of all, to sack Professor Yakubu Mahmood and the entire leadership, and now bring and also have stringent methods of appointing the leaders of INEC going forward with short tenure?
Well, as much as I respect the views, the opinion, the thought of the former president, with due respect, I gave him all, so to say, but then President Obasanjo, or the former president, will not be fair to the present administration, will not be fair to the present system, will not be fair to the present modus operandi of INEC and even the presidency that appoints them and all that kind of something. Because if you check from where we started from in 1999, the election that produced Obasanjo, if we check in 2003, the election that produces, Obasanjo for second time. If we check again, when Obasanjo was to hand over, the election that produced President Yar'Adua of blessed memory, you will see that it was like a do or die thing. Obasanjo said it at that time, particularly in 2003. Yes, when he was contesting for second time, that it was a do or die affair. It was at that time that, thuggery was at the highest level in this country. There was no beavers. Neither do we have, this second aspect of election that we're having today, right now. The point I'm making in essence is, it was a do or die thing whereby people will vote, finish voting, talk will just come from nowhere, armed, and shoot everybody or shoot up sporadically, scare everybody away, carry the ballot papers, and then go and count. And then you will ask them to go to court, to go and challenge in court and so many other things. The records are there. We are coming from somewhere. And so when you compare those elections at the beginning of this democracy in 1999, in 2003, in 2007, and even in 2011 to where we are right now, we have made remarkable progress. Today, it is not common as it used to be, where you have ballot boxes being snatched, particularly in election. We've seen recent election right now. We had one about 2 weeks or thereabout in Edo State. Even though it was characterized, what was highly pronounced was buy and selling. You get what I'm saying? All right. Even the last one that took place now in Ondo State, my dear state, Ondo State, on Saturday, it was adjudged by all observers, both international and local observers, civil society organization, that it was a fair, credible election. So there are high level of, progress being made in our electionary matters. Although not that all is perfect, so to say, there is still collaboration and questionable connivance from, the conductors, from those probably who are returning officer at one level or the other. There are some level of conspiracy too, a certain level of security, so to say. But I think comparative analysis of where we used to be, how we operate and where we are now today. In those days, You do an election, it takes about minimum of 48 hours, 72 hours before the election is being announced in this same old state. I remember in 2007 election between the then governor of blessed memory, Olusegun Agagu, and Dr. Mimiko. It took almost 3 days, running to 4 days before the final election was collated because of the distance, because of the crisis. They have to count. When you count at the union, they take it to, Ward Collation Center. From Ward Collation Center, they take it to constituency or local government collation center before finally they take it to state. But today, with the aid of technology, with the aid of measurable and then impactful, progress that we have made through digital, approach, through ICT, and then another in line with the global trend and best practices. It's almost in the same day that you do that election, as you are finishing the accounting, it's been sent to the server almost immediately. It's been recorded in the system. And that was why they did that election in Nakuru on Saturday. By 2:33, 4:05, they are done. And those elections were posted. And right there in the evening, they started collating and then they started announcing those things, because the whole thing will have even been faster, but because of network in some of those places, those remote places, that's why. But those that, the network was okay, the returning officer, state returning officer, and the official were able to start announcing almost immediately, rather than what we used to witness in 10, 15 years back, where they have to wait endlessly before they will start collating, taking from one location. Even we have instances after collating, they were ambushed on the road with armed thugs that would snatch those buses and go and record, and then they'll come and announce. So we might not be where we think we ought to be on this democracy, on our electionary matter, but we are no more where we used to be. Particularly under President Jonathan Goodluck, a lot of innovations were brought on board under Jega, who introduced a lot of things which INEC is perfecting and they are working on now. There is no system anywhere in the world that is perfect. And so within the 24 years, 25 years, longest unbroken democracy, our election has gained, momentum. Our electoral practices is gathering, a little, some level of remarkable change that we must say, oh, we have made progress in this regards and so many. What I'm saying in essence is I'm not saying it's here to huru. No, we are still, making progress, because every strong change, every remarkable and sustainable change is never an event. It's always a process. So for me, for Baba Obasanjo or the former president to be saying they should sack INEC chairman or this or that, I disagree. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, in the terms of the tenure of, the election, if we now say you are appointing them for 2 years and our election come every 4 years, then what happened? So when you appoint him and he did not conduct the election, you will sack him and then bring out some other people. So by constitution and by electoral law, each of those teams are appointed for 5 years. So within the 5-year period, they are able to conduct an election. That is the normal election. Then the offside election, like the one they did in my state and Edo State recently, these are off-16 election. So they were able to do it, and all that. And some of the issues that are being raised are being pointed out. I believe that INEC is making remarkable, progress. However, there is still much to be done. For instance, in the area of budgeting and expenditure, I found out that INEC will over budget, money will be over released to them. At the end of the exercise, they will say they need they are going to cater for maybe 36,000, 40,000, 50,000 police. At the end of the day, when you check, the personnel that were deployed might not be up to that. And then there were budget per head for some of those things. There were overhead, that is unduly inflated. At the end of the day, INEC will never come back. And that is one area that we, the civil society association organization, the non-governmental organization, and then the, the monitoring group, like development partners and foundations, should now join hands together to ensure accountability, transparency. At the end of every election, INEC should not just write report. They should come and give a detail of their account to its management. Any money not spent should be audited and it should be returned to the national COFA. It is only one agency in Nigeria or one commission, which is JAM, where we have presently Professor Oloyede, the former Vice Chancellor of Unilorin, who have done well before he was appointed. It was for the first time in the history of Nigeria that when he became the JAM registrar, that JAM made money from students, coming for JAM exam annually. And at the end of the year, they have assets that is being returned in billions. The records are there successively. That man has distinguished himself. And this is what I expect So one area because that I think INEC is lacking is they do a lot pre-election, they do a lot during election, but the post-election, an activity between one election and the other, the next 4-year election, they don't do much in terms of education, voters education, aggressive education. Because if INEC is doing much, by now we should not be talking of vote buying. The way it is as we speak today, even in the last 2 elections that were done, and so many other things. So INEC, after one election, they just go to bed until 2 years after, because before they will start putting budget together, they need this, they need that. So for me, there has not been proper accountability, there has not been proper probity and integrity-driven, exercise as far as INEC is concerned in this regard. So much has been going into their hands, and at the end of the day, nothing comes back. They finish all the money at the end of the day, and then it's disgusting. Our election matters now. It is the most expensive, not only in Africa, even in the world, the way I'm seeing it. So these are one area that I want civil society organizations and then non-governmental organizations to now come together to make sure that while the budget is being prepared, it is scrutinized, it is vetted, and we must ensure that this money are judicially spent, whatever there is left, because there are contingency funds in millions that will be budgeted. And some of these things were not used. At the end of the day, nothing comes back to the government. It shows that we lack integrity at the very highest level. So that is one critical area that I want to say that we need to begin to look. But to say they should sack INEC chairman, sack all of them, and then give them 2 years, for me, I disagree. I mean, personally. And I think that is not too heady for our, election. This is my take as far as the issue is concerned.
All right. Let's move on to the next talking point. We've got a clergyman in the talking point this evening. We've got the Emeritus Archbishop of Abuja, Cardinal John Onaiyekan, has called on President Bola Tinubu to stop rewarding party politicians with high political offices. The respected cleric made allegations of nepotism against the president when he appeared as a guest on a TV program. He urged President Tinubu to switch from campaign mode to proper governance and serve every part of the country equally, irrespective of their choices during the election. Let's look at what Archbishop Onaiyekan has said. Do you agree with him? I know you are from the same axis from Mr. President, but I'd like you to be objective in this question.
Well, thank you so much. Our democracy is still far from where it should be. We still have it, and that's what is even obtainable too, even in America, where we borrow the concept from. Democracy after election is winner takes all. It is not enshrined in our constitution, and that's one area that I think the National Assembly should be looking at. All right, because the only constant in life itself is change. The idea of the winner takes all is not healthy for our democracy, where you just handpick anybody at will, whatever, and what have you and all that. Where you want to pick two, by now, after 25 years, we should be looking at or getting to a stage whereby we settle for the best technocrat, people who have what it takes, not just to say, it's a minister because it's from one political zone. It's a minister or a commissioner because it's from one part of the country or one part of the state. It's a minister or commissioner because it's a member of our party. It was a returning officer, it was DG in the course of it's not giving, an appointment based on patronage. No. If you must be patronized, you must have what it takes, because it is because we are picking charlatans that doesn't have what it takes. That's why we are still far from where we should be in delivery, their deliverables. It is because the thing is unduly on patronage. For instance, one of the recent appointments that the president has done for me is at liberty. He has the prerogative to pick. But I think before he picks, there should be wider consultation before he settles or he picks somebody. Because when rain falls, it falls on every roof. The moment you are elected, whether some people believe it or not, or whether they accept you or they don't accept you, you've been sworn in, and then the matter has gone to the Supreme Court, and you've been declared the winner for that election. You are now the father for all. I don't even see anything wrong in those opposition who contested, against the president, who have what it takes. I don't see anything wrong, though this present government has done it. We have seen it. Wike, the current minister of FCT, is in PDP, even up to now that we are speaking. But because Wike distinguished himself in Rivers State as one of the finest governors. You might not like his face, you might not like his style, but he has done certain things that have changed narrative and that you cannot wish away easily. And so we should get to a stage whereby after all said and done, the president should be able, in the course of drawing the list of his key members of the cabinet at the top level, and then the next layer should be people, from diverse background, should be people who have sound antecedent and track record, should be Nigerians that are worthy of such appointment, not just in the realm of patronage or no patronage because he's a member of my party. No, it doesn't make our democracy to be very, very healthy somehow. So I want to subscribe to what Archbishop Onayekon said, that the president should, do less of nepotism or party, thing or something of that nature, because the quantum of the personnel, the quality of personnel or human capital that you engage, that you appoint, will determine how far you are going to do. For me, even when you have, somebody from an opposition that has, credibility, that is competent in terms of professionalism and capacity, he will even be struggling or, willing to deliver more than many a time those who are direct members of your political party and so many other things. And take it or leave it, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president today, is one man that is detribalized. It's one person that has touched life in terms of political development in the last 24, 25 years before he became the president. He has built so many, men within the political terrain, from councillor to the presidency. You cannot take that away from him. So, but you see, when appointment is skewed to one direction, or when appointment is just given, one way or the other without proper scrutiny, because take it or leave it, the kind of pressure Bola Ahmed Tinubu was facing when he was a governor in Lagos State for 8 years is a child's play to what he's facing right now, because state activities that is before him on daily basis, how I wish we were able some of these appointments, he actually know much about them, scrutinize them or whatever, and so many other things and other. They are based on recommendation by his immediate lieutenant, the chief of staff, his personal secretary, maybe few who are called kitchen cabinet member that will sit to now draw the list. For me, for key appointment, we should get it to another level, and that's what I'm looking at, and that's what our organization is working on. The Review Nigeria 360 degree. That even in the very near future that we are looking at, after all said and done, when elections are won, we should now begin to have lists of those that we will now be invited for ministerial appointment, for director general, and for key and strategic offices. For instance, maybe 3 people can be interviewed to become minister of any of the ministries. Let them bring their CV. Let there be a panel that will sit, panel that will constitute, people of, credible conduct, seasoned professionals across the divide, from law, from education, from engineering, that will now form, that team. People that are not card-carrying member, not necessarily. If they must be card-carrying member, but they must be professional that have, through dint of hard work, have earned themselves credible reputation. That will form the panel. The president now doesn't have to be there. They will now scrutinize them. They will come one by one as if they are, gone in to apply for a job. And then after that, they will now narrow it down to the best. For instance, what they did in university when they are vying for vice chancellorship, 5, 6, 10 people could come. At the end of the day, all of them collected their CV, and then they faced panel. And then once they interview, a comprehensive report that is constructive, that is unbiased, will now be submitted, and recommendation will be made, and then they will be scored according to their performance. And that will determine if they scrutinize rather than going to the National Assembly and say, take a bow and go. The last one we saw in the National Assembly, when a senator was talking about somebody over beautiful or something of that nature, somebody that wants to go for the office of a ministerial appointment in our country. Is it about beauty that we're talking about? Without prejudice. Those are some of the things. The woman in question, if she's asked to pace a panel, she has the capacity. But what I'm saying in essence is they should be subjected to proper scrutiny, examination, evaluation, and appraisal to actually determine their capacity, their competence, their commitment, their compassion, their character, and their courage to deliver. These 5 C's are critical in determining how well you are going to deliver. For me, there are still a lot of ministers that are there now. Even when the president wants to change, or circumcise the system, there are still a lot of ministers that are there that are not delivering. That ordinarily, And under that kind of situation, it should not be more than 2 years or 18 months. If you don't perform, if you perform well, then they promote you. They can give you another 18 months before the end of the tenure. When you don't perform under 18 months, then you are shoved aside and then go and sit down. Then we get another person that is better. We now begin to pick people. There are 3 levels to which people of political party can be patronized, not necessarily by appointment. If you must pick them, pick the best. As we speak right now, there are still a lot of people that actually work for APC government who are still groaning, who actually work diligently with all their sincere heart, that have not even been considered for any appointment. Though it is natural that everybody cannot be given appointment. But what is a sword for the good is a sword for the gatherer. So for me, it's not just appointment, but who are you appointing? Does he or she deserve it? Does he or she have the capacity to deliver in the corporate interest of Nigeria? Because you just put somebody in one ministry as a minister, you start carrying Agbada up and down at the end of the day, after 1 year, 2 years. Almost 2 years is going in this administration. I believe that if the right set of people are put in the right places, if square peg were put in square hole, a certain ministry, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will have done better than he's doing now. There are quite a lot of people that are there are just dead wood. So sentiments should be removed, prejudice should be removed, emotion should be removed in the course of appointing the right set of people. Get this right set of people, irrespective of whether they are politicians, whether they are within your political party or not. Because today you are the president for PDP member, you are the president for APC member, he's the president for AGA and for everybody. And in doing that, at the end of the day, by the time you are going to your 3rd year, if you have done well with this set of people, some of them that you pick in other political party might even choose to stay with you and not going back to their party. And by doing so, you are promoting, excellence above, mediocrity, as we have, that is still very prevailing at a certain level. We have a lot of commissioners in many states today who don't even know what they are doing in their ministry. We have a lot of special advisors who don't have anything to offer. A special advisor should be somebody that is seasoned enough, is resourceful enough, have cognitive experience to be able to offer frank and very sincere advice. But when you pick charlatans, and that's why when they have been alleged to have done something wrong, they still sit tight there, they cannot leave because they don't have anything at stake to offer. They want to sit tight to continue to be on that, whether they are delivering, whether they are performing or they are not performing. We should be moving away from that. And so my recommendation too, in line with what Archbishop Onayekon said, is that we should, after 25 years now, not just pick anybody on the sentiments, on the prejudice of political party alone. No. There are good people within the party. Let's settle for the best. If you say, okay, so ministry, you are sending it to Northwest. Ask the Northwest people to now produce their best, not just anybody. So let the president give it to them, and when they forward those lists, you give them the number. Then they will now be scrutinized by a national committee, broad-based, that cut across this country. Credible individual, from various, diverse professional, discipline and background and all that. By doing that, we know that, okay, we are making remarkable progress, and then our democracy is becoming healthier and healthier on a daily basis. So that's my position.
Just wanted to ask you, since we are talking about appointment, what do you think about the appointment of Daniel Bwala, his recent appointment? We know that recently he has been talking kind of on the positive for Mr. President. Do you think the propaganda he's been making in favor of the president was what got him this recent appointment?
Well, thank you so much. That Daniel Bwala issue is a national embarrassment from the two sides. For me, I don't know what warrants or, determine what the presidency or those who probably recommended Bwala for such an appointment, I don't know what they consider. And that's why, as a politician, when you get to a certain stage, you should be careful what you say, because statements are like Humpty Dumpty. Bwala made some unprintable statement against Tinubu at the national television, denigrating his personality, denigrating his person, denigrating everything about him, as if him and Tinubu are the same. No. Talking politically today, when you place Tinubu and Bwala, they are not there. They are worlds apart. But when you look at the causticness and the unprintable nature of his statement towards Tinubu, even after he became the president and all that, even if you give him 30 years, he cannot deliver. All right? And on the basis of that, the still same president now consider him worthy of being given such an appointment. That's 1, 2. On the side of Bwala himself, if he's a man of integrity, who value himself and his statement, who believe in personal principle and philosophy, who know what integrity means, if they offer him that, even on a platter of gold, if I were him, I would say, no, I'm sorry. I criticize you. I criticize this government. I said so thing about you. So I don't deserve to be rewarded. What are they rewarded? What has he done that he's been rewarded? And he now went to take it. It shows that, he doesn't have integrity. That is just a young man like that just talk blah, blah, talk here and there, talk carelessly from all sides of his mouth. The same you now, in the same within 1 year or thereabout, you were offered appointment by that same week. You are the spokesperson for Atiku election and all that. You could do that with your head, intact. You could do that even as a spokesperson and then speak and conduct yourself with tact, diplomacy, and wisdom. But he lost all those, key elements, key variables, key virtues and values, talking recklessly and all that. And today, the same government drag you to come and say, come and take appointment. And you kowtow and you go there to take it. No. No, it is better to die standing than living on your nail. I believe he's a lawyer, so I don't think that maybe he's hungry. So what is he looking for? If I were him and I made such a statement, I will never even make such a statement in the first place. Because with diplomacy, you can achieve the nastiest thing, but in the nicest way. We must learn, some of us who are public affairs analysts, when we are talking on television or radio, how to be careful of our choice of words. Like I said, statements are like Humpty Dumpty. You can disagree with somebody without, using gutter language. We must be careful how we speak, because what to say, we have seen cases like that. When politicians will speak this in the morning, in the afternoon, the same statement they make is haunting them all over the places. No, it doesn't show that we are civilized. It doesn't show that we are well educated. It doesn't show that we know what we are doing. It shows that we are being overruled by sentiments of the masters that we are serving at that time. Because under no condition should I expect that somebody like him that is knowledgeable and sensible enough to be able to make such statement. And upon all, when all the doors settle now, you leave your master, you left your principal to go and take appointment. Atiku is still criticizing Bola Ahmed Tinubu ever since they lost that election till now. And you walk up to bedroom with this kind of set of people. No. It depicts, it erodes, the dignity of his person. Absolutely. That is just the way it is. So for me, I will have just say, well, even if they come in to say, okay, come and take, no, I'm sorry. I didn't work for this government. I am not part of your success. So I should not reap where I didn't sow. People that have worked for that party are still there, that are credible, that have all the they didn't consider them. So for me, without prejudice, I don't know what criteria, I don't know what consideration, I don't know what the government of our president is trying to do by leaving and then settling for somebody who makes such a careless. No, it does not. For me, that is not too tidy somehow. That's my position.
Let's move on quickly. Time not our friend. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, faulted President Bola Tinubu for decorating the visiting Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the Nigerian second highest national award of the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. Speaking, the Deputy National Youth Leader of the party, Timothy Osadolo, described the president's action as misplaced priority, but the Deputy National Organizing Secretary of the APC, in the person of Nze Chidi Duru, kicked, arguing that the president didn't do anything unprecedented. What do you think about this honor given to Modi? Is it well deserved? Has he done enough for the African continent or for Nigeria to deserve such an award?
Well, thank you so much. There is nothing the president is doing or that has done that some quarters at certain level people will not criticize. I think sometimes we should learn to mind our business and allow those who are doing certain things to do. My question now is it written in any constitution anywhere that the president, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria, cannot confer any award on anybody that he deemed fit? This is the question. Has he violated constitution in this regard? Has he violated the rules that should be guiding, such, conferment of award or something of that nature?
All right. So I think this is how much time is going to allow us to take at this moment. I want to say a big thank you Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, Global President of Rebuild Nigeria 360. Thank you for sharing your time with us on the decks this evening. I want to say thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigeria. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. We've been talking to the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360 as we look at issues from a global perspective and also bringing it down to Nigeria and the African continent. Not forgetting that Mr. President is currently in Brazil attending to the 19th Heads of State and Government Summit of the Group of 20. And it's expected that the president will be doing a lot of lobbying and to better the lot of Nigeria. He is accompanied by Yusuf Tuga, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Minister of Livestock Development, and Hanatu Musawa, the Minister of Arts, Tourism, Culture and Creativity. Others who joined in receiving the president were Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, and Mohammed, Director General of the National Intelligence Agency. President Tinubu is also expected to hold bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit in advancement of Nigeria's socio-economic reforms. Meanwhile, President Lula da Silva of Brazil is hosting the 2024 G20 summit, having held the group's rotating presidency since 21st of December 2023. His tenure ends on November 30th. The summit with the theme Building a Just World and Sustainable Planet will focus on 3 dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental, and the reform of global governance. It will also highlight the rising of global temperatures and the principles of the digital economy, among other themes. The Brazilian presidency will also treat as priority the Israel-Hamas war and the rising bloc confrontation between the United States and China. So it means Mr. President will be involved in a lot of things. So we wish Mr. President the very best. That's how much we're going to take on today's edition of the program, The Dex. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for being part of the show.